What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Duran Duran. And we're continuing through Danse Macabre 2023, and indeed, I'm going to try to do a couple of these reactions each of the next few days so that at least by early November we get through the whole album, and my plan is to coordinate Secret October 31st for Halloween on that day, and probably it's going to be with Supernature as well. In any case, I am going to speed through this album a bit more quickly just because I want to center it around the Halloween holiday upon which it is thematically connected, or for which or to which it is thematically connected. Get my prepositions right. In any case, the next tune we're going to listen to is Bury a Friend. I didn't know this when I first looked at the track list, but it is in fact a cover of a Billie Eilish tune. Now, I know who she is. She's hit the music world with some aplomb. I think she's even won Grammys. But she's not an artist I'm familiar with sonically, so musically I wouldn't know, the basis of this track. Though, shout out to a friend of the channel, Izzy World, who sent me an interview with Nick Rhodes, and I can tell you what Nick said about this tune, which is that the Billie Eilish song, Bury a Friend, he says, I thought that something contemporary that had been released in the last 4 or 5 years would be good, although we wanted to make that very different to her version. Trying to copy that would have been the wrong way. So anyway, we ended up with this crazy eclectic mix, including 3 new songs, he says, regarding the larger album. So yeah, again, I don't know anything about Billie Eilish, so even that doesn't quite make sense to me. Actually, I do know that I share a birthday with her, because a couple years ago I looked on Wikipedia to see who I shared a birthday with. Lots of interesting figures, some related to music, a lot related to Hollywood and actors and actresses. Oh, and also Joseph Stalin, not a great person to share a birthday with. Regardless, I don't have a sense for how, changing it significantly from her version, what that tells me, because I don't know her version or really what her sound is. But I will say the phrase, bury a friend, it's heavy. It's, the idea of putting to rest someone you care strongly about, you consider a friend. That's never going to be an easy experience. I knew a couple kids when I was younger who died. One when I was in elementary school, and he wasn't like a close friend, but I remember it happening even though he wasn't close to me. So, and then later when I was in high school, a kid I had been friends with in like elementary school and junior high, he ended up passing away. Though by that point we had sort of drifted out of contact because we went to different high schools. So I've known some people in recent years from long distance, some techno friends unfortunately, who've passed away. But in those cases, again, it's not someone I spent, every day with. So, again, I have not had that experience perhaps as intensely or painfully as others, but I do get the import of it. So, I don't know, it could be something where we're not using the term bury literally, but, again, my immediate thought is a sort of solemn and lamentative thought about people who pass away and the ripple effect that has around them. Now again, the idea of people departing the material world and transitioning to the spiritual world, whether in a seance as we see in the pictures, which I didn't even realize at first. There's like a description of a seance and the sort of process of it in the expanded fold out digipack. But yeah, the idea of transitioning to the spiritual world is part and parcel to what this album seems to be doing. So all of this seems to make sense, though again, I don't know quite what to expect, how heavy or how ominous this might be, or whether, again, there's a play on words to some degree. Let's find out. This is Duran Duran, their cover of Bury a Friend, a tune originally by Billie Eilish.
You run from me. What are you wondering? What do you know? Why aren't you scared of me? Why do you care for me? When we all fall asleep, where do we go? Say it, spit it out. What is it exactly? You're paying is the amount. Cleaning you out, am I satisfactory? Today I'm thinking about the things that are deadly. The way I'm drinking you down, like I wanna drown, like I wanna end me. Tell me less, fiddle your tongue. Bury a friend, slide the window. Candles lost, killing the sun. Bury a friend, all in me.
electric, but it gave me Doors vibes for a second there.
Me to make you my heart and make you a star and get you connected. I'll meet you in the park. I'll be calm and collected. We knew right from the start that you fall apart, cause I'm too expensive. Talking me something that shouldn't be said out loud. Honestly, I thought that I would be dead by now. Calling security, keeping my head held down. Baby, I should bury a friend right now. For the dead, I don't gotta sell my soul, cause I can't say no. No, I can't say no.
Hey, I like this part.
Frozen, my eyes won't close, and I can't say no. I can't say no. Never let stay while you're drunk. Bury a friend, try to wake up. Candle by
I like the warped phonograph sort of sound.
what do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? Why do you wonder?
This feels like it could be something on Paper Gods or like.
Why aren't you scared of me? Why do you care for me? When we all fall asleep, where do we go?
That's cool. Crazy. Shorter than I expected. I thought it might riff for a little bit longer, but yeah, I like the electricity of it. You can tell, I suppose, and maybe this is just knowing this going into it, which, you know, inevitably it, I think, influences the way you hear something, but you can tell that it's a modern cover. You could tell it's like if the vocal rhythms and some of the stylings are in any way reflective of the original, even if shifted to a, you know, a different sound or conveyed with a different type of melody, or like a different like key set. I mean, yeah, it still feels like a more modern track. So yeah, ultimately I like the shifting like progression of parts. In particular, there's a part near the end where Simon sort of upped the vocals a little bit. I really did like that in particular. Yeah, lyrically, again, not knowing the original and whether there's any variant lines, and assuming that it's more or less a straightaway cover. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like, you know, someone who's drinking, or maybe like their behavior is such that they thought like they might have been buried, they might have died by this point. So maybe bury a friend is like self-referential. But either way, what was it? Bury the hatchet or bury a friend? Was it like an either or? Or was it an and? But yeah, bury the hatchet, like, you know, like let it die, let whatever the conflict is fade away. And if it is like a bury the hatchet or bury a friend, it's the idea that if you don't bury the hatchet, like that's it. Like, you know, you might end up never being able to find rapprochement with this person, and, you know, whatever connection you had will necessarily be no longer. So maybe that's the essence of it. Maybe it's not self-referential and about destructive behavior like individually, but it might be about recognizing when, and maybe it could be like positive. It could be like sometimes you have to know when to bury a friend in terms of like, you're not going to be part of my life anymore. So like, you know, hearing only the tidbits I did and not knowing the original, I don't quite know what to make of the lyrics, but it was fun. It was cool. It wasn't, you know, particularly dark or haunting or wicked, but it had, again, a sort of dancing mischief to it, I suppose. So yeah, top tune. Looking forward to the next session, which will include both Supernature, and then we're going to skip over Danse Macabre because I did react to that a couple weeks ago. And then we'll listen to Secret October 31st, and by the time I post it, it will then be Halloween, because I usually post my videos in the wee hours of the morning here. So yeah, looking forward to that, and once more, Secret October 31st, or Secret October, sorry, was one of the first Duran reactions I did, because I happen to have a vinyl, and indeed, I won't spoil it, but Nick has some comments about that as well. So when we get to that one, I will reconsult this interview. Once again, shout out to Izzy World. Shout out to all the Duranis, you know, some of the friends of the channel who've been here as long as anybody else. I think I did a few, like an Erasure and maybe one or two Depeche Mode reactions before I started doing Duran, but definitely one of the first things I started reacting to post like the techno and punk only phase. So big shout out to those of you still here. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you think of this. I will see you next time. Peace.